Today we'll be looking at the Bellingham Radio and Electricity Museum. Doesn't sound like an awful lot, but it's one of the quality world-class museums. This is commonly called Bellingham Radio Museum, but it's the Museum of Radio and Electronics. This is a mural on the building across the street from the Radio Museum. This is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful murals I've seen. Beautiful Radio Museum. Isn't that a beautiful set? I wonder what year that's from.
1936.
1936, the year I was born.
Looks like it's Art Deco.
It does.
Art Deco design.
Well, 36 would be the after the Art Deco started. That started in the 20s, didn't it?
I don't know, but it sure looks like it.
No.
Don't those look like eyeballs?
Yeah, that's bullseye. You tune it to those lights, I think. Oh. You can't see this stuff in one trip through, Karen.
I would have noticed this before.
Beautiful speakers from the teens. Tell us about those, Karen. They're early radio mics, right?
Yes, it's an RCA, Electro Voice, KTNT. Let's see.
Progression of radio microphones through the years.
Isn't it pretty? There's a
transition of
clock radio.
Yeah. Little portables. Okay, describe that again.
It's a clock and a radio. Could be the first clock radio.
Yeah, well, that's an early clock radio, right? Yeah, that's a new one on me. I've not seen one of those.
RCA, Radiola X.
Look at those beautiful speakers up on the shelf. Those are radio speakers that you plug into your radios.
Funny, these devices were indeed a clock and a radio. They hadn't really connected the clock turning the radio off and on. At least there were some, but I didn't see them.
Now we're looking at John Winters. He's the curator of this museum.
Well, yeah, one of them.
One of them, okay.
Here's what's truly amazing about this. Now, this is 1936. It's an analog radio. It is AM, and it covers completely from 150 kilocycle, which is well below the broadcast band. Now get this, goes all the way up to 80 megacycles.
Wow.
And to design a radio that was analog, that you could turn a switch between each band and then have a dial and be approximately on frequency was incredible.
That's what it's like.
These coils, look at this. Look at these. These are what are called IF coils, and these are what, and they're just absolute precision.
John, do you have any problem with kids coming along and pulling those caps off? Or?
No, I don't. In fact, we have been really blessed with no theft, no damage, very little. Normal damage, but very little.
Some that you
In
do.
all these years.
That's fascinating. Oh my.
These are early radio transmitters called wireless telegraphy transmitters. They transmitted Morse code, not voice. And these are from the 19 teens. The three on the end down here are a Navy transmitter. It was from World War I, 5,000 watt transmitter. These were built in Seattle here. I don't have much history on these except that they're about the same time period. These are all mounted on marble slabs for insulation, and they weigh 1.5 tons. This is a World War I aircraft radio transmitter. It would be mounted under the wing of an aircraft, and the passing air would cause the propeller to turn, which would operate a generator, and the pilot would have a Morse code key on his knee, and he could send information down about enemy positions or artillery firing, things of that nature.
That wasn't wireless, was it?
That's wireless
It
telegraphy.
was wireless?
Yeah.
Wow.
No voice with this. Voice didn't come in until a little later.
But Howard, do you want to do it?
We have to have long, straight hair.
I have too much trouble with my hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got long hair.
I do. It's kind of wet. I don't know if I'll say that.
It might not
I'll
if
do
it's
it
wet.
if everyone else is scared and timid.
My hair usually stays.
Yeah,
It's not that
right,
long,
so-
but mine usually it's pretty little.
Stephanie with an F instead of a PH. You have to get a G because you can't get a PhD.
That's right. Yeah. So you can see already the effect. I like it. Yeah. Now what's happening there?
Good, yeah.
Good look for you.
Why is her hair standing on end like that?
Is it because
Shake your head.
electric field's effectively trying to escape?
I would
Well, it's
Or the
I think
resulting
it's
energy
because
movement?
that she is in the field that would normally generate there probably is using her as an entity, as the equivalent of that, and then it's gathering all over her.
Yeah,
So her hair is
it basically comes down to charge. There's millions of tiny lines all leaving every surface perpendicular to the surface. They always leave perpendicular.
With the
And they're going out to everything in here.
Volume, even the vibrato, by moving his hands in the air. So people actually consider that a radio station. Has been drawn to the theremin for as long as he can remember. The pitch head's heading here. When I get near it, it's higher. Far away from that. I don't remember ever not. There were concerts at the Metropolitan Opera House and Carnegie Hall, recordings, and in 1929, Professor Theremin signed a deal with RCA to manufacture the theremin commercially. The ad campaign proclaimed that anyone who could whistle a tune could play this astonishing new instrument.
The theremin, musical instrument.
A 1928 theremin. RCA built 500 of these in 1928, and this is one of the very few that's still left. It's vacuum tube operated. It was advertised as being an instrument that you could play without touching, and that anybody could play. Anybody can make noise, but you can't really make much out of it. We don't operate this very much because of a rather high failure rate on tubes. But we have a modern one next door to it here. This operates on the same principle, except it's transistorized. With this antenna, you change the pitch, and this is the volume control. So If you're skilled, you can make music. I
Now,
can't.
that came into modern day knowledge through a movie. What was the name of that movie?
Well, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, that was used as sound effects. It's been used in a lot of movies, for science fiction movies, for sound
Yes.
effects.
Could you play that a little bit more? I know you can't.
I'll make more noise.
Make more noise.
Can they do anything on one?
So this belonged to one of our curators' mother, and it's called the Criterion. Now it looks like somebody's got it set up wrong. But this, there's little hooks on the back, and they hit little discs that then hit the tines. So it's a little different than a regular music box. Now I'm not sure if it's actually wound up, but we'll see.
Really? Is that round?
Pumping air into it, so it's like an organ. So, that's the whole.
I love it.
So if I stop, it doesn't keep going. So it's not spring loaded. Okay, it's gonna start again.
Kind of like the organ grinder on the sidewalk.
To show you two little things here. First of all, the amplification factor of a horn. Most people are not aware that Edison, did this with no electricity. And if we play this without any electricity, of course, not much sound. But here is the amplifier. So now we can hear sound. Now, people ask how Edison could have thought of inventing a cylinder player and recorder. Remember, this was a time when there weren't hearing aids, electrical hearing aids, and not much electricity. And in this time, that's right, they had They had horns, ear horns, I guess they call them, ear trumpets. And people would, hey, what do you say? So Edison did a wonderful thing. He understood the ear. He did understand the eardrum, and he knew that the eardrum vibrated. Now he knew that. He was beginning to lose his hearing when he was doing this. So he had some understanding of the physicality of his ear. And he built an amazing thing. He built an eardrum. And he not only built an eardrum, but he built an eardrum with a knife on it. And I'll show it to you. You get a good shot of that?
Yep.
This is the drum. It's mica. This is the knife, the little knife.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the outside of the ear. And with the ear trumpet, sound going in here causes the eardrum to vibrate, and thus the knife vibrates. Well,
So
the knife cuts the sound waves into wax.
wow.
He originally tried using tinfoil. And back in those days, tinfoil was really made of tin. So I'll demonstrate this for you. I just so happen that I have a little bit of wax here. The other piece is, of course, most people forget that things back in this day were powered by springs.
Mm-hmm.
And today a child hardly knows about springs. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Plug it in.
Yeah, plug it in. Now here is wax that has been shaved, clean, very smooth. Very smooth. In comparison to this, there's a difference. You see, one has got sound on it, and the other one is smooth. Well,
Called blank, huh?
blank. Now I'm going to put this wax here, and I'm going to put it there on the lathe, and I'm going to take Edison's invention, the eardrum with a knife on it. Of course, it isn't a real eardrum, obviously. And we're going to put it in the machine. Now we can record sound. Amplifier. We'll turn our machine on. And we'll put the knife down on the wax. One, two, three, 4, 5. My name's John, and I want to welcome you to the American Museum of Radio and Electricity. I'm recording this on wax, just as Thomas Edison did over 150 years ago. There. We'll see what happens. Oh, yes, I see. Here's the wax. It's been shaved off. And if you look very closely, you can see the little grooves that have been cut into this wax. Now we will play it back. And in order to play it back, we need the playback head, which is just a little sphere, a little tiny sphere, like about the size of a ballpoint pen ball. And it's made of a diamond, very highly polished, and it just rests right on the surface, and it rides those sound waves. And of course, there's a little diaphragm in there that vibrates and gives us the sound. So,
Now you're having this demonstration by the curator of the museum.
You might want to get a little closer with the sound so you can hear it. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My name's Don, and I want to welcome you to the American Museum of Radio and Electricity. I'm recording this on wax, just as Thomas Edison did over 150 years ago.
So there you have it. That's how it was done. And it's very interesting how Edison came up with that. I mean, you have to think of inventors and how they're able to think a little differently. To imagine a eardrum with a knife on it is a bit odd, but he put all the pieces together. He put the eardrum, he knew it vibrated, he knew it produced the sound in his mind, in his head. He wanted to capture the sound, so what better way to do it than to use an eardrum of some kind, or to make something like an eardrum. And,
well, John, thank you.
You're welcome.
What else do you have that you might demonstrate?
And then he would set this down, adjust it. Not this. This is a copy, and it's just something to show people.
Sure.
And then he would turn this, the needle, or this little thing would go down there and just rest on the surface, and he would yell in here and to see if sound could be captured. And it was. He could hear it, but it was not good.
So that's the next step was the wax.
The next step was the wax. These are 2-minute records or cylinders. The blue are 4 minutes.
I see.
And just for your interest, Teddy Roosevelt was one of the very first, in fact, he was the first president to use media. And that's his voice.
That's Teddy Roosevelt, huh?
That's Teddy Roosevelt.
And to emancipate the people in an orderly way from the iniquities and forces of
And that's a 4-minute
which would turn
wax.
That's right.
provisions which were intended to
That's
favor
it.
social justice and
The
advancement
longest they had was 4
into
minutes.
prohibition
Until they went to the
against such justice
record.
and
Or
advancement.
So that's a metal?
In the last 20
No, that's
years,
made of,
an increasing
this one's made of celluloid. And they changed from wax to celluloid.
This thing with all the colored. What's a galvanometer?
I have no idea.
What's a galvanometer do?
It measures magnetic fields.
Oh. Oh, right there, it probably says right there. Yep, right there. Strength of an electric current in a conductor. Maybe if I read the sign.
That's quite a toaster.
Well, at least they got signs. They didn't used to.
One time?
I think so.
It's probably hard to advertise, huh?
That would be.
Well, I've never seen any advertisements.
Personally, a real one?
Yeah. 102.3.
Damage to my head. But they're all like brand new.
There's, normally there's a little radio on it.
What's your call letters?
KMRE.
What? 10.
102.3.
It's a good station.
I should know all of them.
I have stuff going all the way back. I have to the late 1800s, and we play it on the air.
So that's being sent out over transmitters where?
Across the street on top of that tall building is our antenna.
Okay.
That's cool.
Now you can actually hear the right music coming out of these. Because otherwise you'd be listening to talk radio. This is the tube that they took to the moon.
Oh, is that right?
The pictures that you've seen of people on the moon in the 60s were taken with that tube.
You're kidding.
Which tube is it? The big one or the?
Yeah, see there's a picture of it here?
Oh, yes.
And then That's that tube there.
Oh, okay. So how did you come to get it here at the museum?
Well, I didn't, but I think John Jenkins.
John did?
Yeah.
Knew the right congressman?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's the first light bulb, right?
Yes, it is. He unveiled this in 1879.
Who did?
Thomas Edison himself. In Menlo Park. There were a series of, I'm not sure how many on that first occasion, but this is one of them.
What would that bulb be worth today?
I don't know if you can put a price on it. Millions.
Priceless.
What is it?
That's the first bulb. Light bulbs.
First light
Edison's
bulb.
first light bulb.
This is a radio transmitter that was in the life rafts. Hand crank for power. Replica, exact replica of the Titanic radio room.
Very interesting. Enough suit on both sides. How's that work, you suppose? And why is that training?
Well, you must be making power to...
I don't know.
You were to put your lips inside of this hole, and nobody else in the room could hear what you were saying to the person on the telephone. And it was called Hushaphone. Mary Jane worked a switchboard like that in 1938 and 39 when she was in high school.
She was a telephone operator.
She worked 4 hours after school.
That must have been fun
4 to
sticking those
8.
wires in there. There's a stock market ticker. Wow.
If you have that in your house, you just could sit down.
Transition of telephones.
Magneto switchboard.
I don't know how, I'd like to have somebody.
That's the first dial telephone, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a contraption to me.
Touch them.
God, it's hard
Touch
for me
that.
to remember.
Vacuum tubes.
what you have just seen is a little sample of our new Mega Zapper. It's a Tesla coil that we recently acquired, and we are putting together an electrical show that will demonstrate some of Tesla's more astounding principles. It's not something right at the moment that everybody can just walk into the museum and see, but I thought I'd give you a little preview, and I hope you enjoyed it. Which is used to, vulcanization. Yeah, that's my phone too.
These were the power sources for the telegraph. They don't come along every day.
Yeah, I know. Very cool. I didn't realize that they did dinners.
Yeah, you go to peanut butter sandwich, cheese sandwich, pepper rolls, coffee,
What do you like?
So yeah, I'm gonna have.
Enjoy the rest of your visit.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Where do you say that power alley was? Over here?
Here's the thing, it can't shock you, especially if your hand.
Yeah, you won't feel a thing. Your hair will just stand on end is all.
It's just static electricity. This just makes the same static electricity you make all day long, just more concentrated. You go on your arm and we'll see if we get your hair is already pretty full and thick, so I'm not sure what we're going to get to do. Maybe we can get it to lay down, I'm not sure. So let's see. Just leave your hand on there the whole time.
The shampoo I use?
Just leave your hand on.
But it'll stand up, Bertie.
I can feel it standing up on my arm.
Actually, I hear your shoes crackling.
Oh, goody.
You hear that? That's your shoes.
I don't know if I...
Is your hair moving?
I can see it starting to stand
It's starting to raise.
Shake your hair a little bit.
Hairspray down.
Just shake your head like that.
There you go.
Look at the mirror. Turn your head to the...
Oh boy, well it didn't hurt me a bit so far.
You don't feel fried, huh?
The lights in their shoes?
No, am I lighting up there?
No.
That's how
All right,
much...
now leave your hand on. Now take your hand and reach over here and touch the piece of wood. Just
Right,
reach over.
what's
Yeah,
gonna
just
happen?
step over. It's not gonna anything's gonna happen. It's gonna take the charge off you, and you're not gonna get
Your hair will lay down again.
Put your hand on it.
Ooh, I can feel all my hair going down on my arm.
Good. So it's gone. So you had a little static on you, just like if you went down a slide.
Well, that was a piece of cake. I didn't kill me though.
No, not even a little static.